All right, so this is going to be somewhat of a crash course in a little bit of the way that I approach coloring. It's not necessarily a tutorial. I'm just going to show you a little bit of a section, kind of my thought process of how I approach a piece after I get back the flat colors. I do outsource my color flats. All right. My buddy Carl Dutchin, who I've known for many years. He does lots of color flats. He's worked for DC doing flats for I don't even know how long now, decade or so. But anyhow, I use Carl, and he gets me back my flats. Uh, you know, top quality flats, and it usually requires a little bit of edits, and I'll go ahead and show you that right here. So let me start with this, and hopefully this doesn't crash. Sometimes it crashes when I double down with Adobe. Okay, so what I sent Carl here, actually, this would be the line art file here. Let me just I'll drop a color behind it so you can see here. Imagine that blue is white. But anyhow, he gets the line art file, the scan from me, as so. Again, just pretend the blue is white. Um, and then what he sends me back is the line art in its own layer, and then the flats underneath of it. And what I generally will do is I will highlight, the flat layer. I'll create a duplicate of it, and in the duplicate, I generally like to delete the background areas, which would be, anything sky background related, like back here that I just selected. And then I delete it. And the reason why is because I like having primarily the buildings, the figures, and things like that in the foreground. And you could do the same thing with layer mask. I don't work in layer mask. Um, we were trained to work in layer mask in the gaming industry, and it just never. It's a little counterintuitive for me with my specific approach. So I prefer layers, multiple layers, and then merging as I work. So yeah, I'll select the background area and then delete it. Here is my edits. So here's what Carl sent, right? And he did me a huge favor with this area right here. You got the motion of the sword coming down through here. And by the way, yes, this is a Thor 337 homage by the great draftsman Walter Simonson. This would be the cover featuring Beta Ray Bill. Awesome cover. So yeah, this is a homage callback to that cover. So anyways, and yeah, it features my Ragetality character. So yeah, he did me a huge favor here on the original flat where he has their very own hues for me to select behind all the information behind this swipe of the sword is selectable on its own, even though it's part of the leg here, right? So my own flat, and this is important for me later on when I decide to do something with the energy area, or the motion color that's going to overlay all that flat behind it. So what I did here on my edit is I made it run full. I made the entire piece as if this was not overlapping it. I did that for color purpose. I'm going to jump the gun here and show you why. After the fact, I created a selection here which includes all the information, even what it overlaps across this entire thing here. And I have a special effect that I'm going to apply towards the end of completion of this. And this is the selected area here, which I have set to soft light. Really, it's just a reminder for myself of where I'm going to work on that. And when I'm doing edits or colors on this area here, it's so that I'm not just coloring this area here, I'll turn mine off so you can see. It's so that I'm not just, rendering highlighted areas in here and then also having to find a comparable highlight that matches up with, um, the lines that I select for the cuts, right? So on mine, I just do like that. And then again, I have an energy effect that's going to overlay all of my actual renders on this piece. Let's see here. So you can see, I'm going to focus on the purple. I'm going to focus on the face, the legs, the hands, the hand. This one's hidden behind the rocks up here. So just the base purple on him for now. I do work very loosely, so I tend to work like areas that go beyond the area of this area in its own layer. And then the very final thing I'll do is I'll actually select this entire selection. And, I select the inverse area and just start using that delete key, going through each layer individually. When it's looking good, then I decide to merge layers. So let's see, I'm going to try to make sure you can see this. Okay, so I already started some renders on the face, so I can show you this. Okay, so what I do is I prefer to work dark to light. So instead of adding shading to a piece, I generally like to decide what is the darkest value of this color I'm willing to have in print. And I figure out that darkest value, and this is what I kind of came up with right here. You can see it is darker, but this is pretty close to a shaded area on RAGETALITY'S purple area that I'm comfortable with. And so at this point, this is the exact same color on the base, and I just did a color. I just did a fill and set it to multiply, and it looks like I have it set at 33%. That can vary. I sometimes I work between 27 and 57%. It depends on the color, the setting of the page, whatnot. It's all an experiment, right? So this is just a duplicate layer again, showing where that purple is and the darkest value of that specific purple. The next thing I do is I actually use this base color that Carl has chosen to use right here, which I do like. He's been doing flats on RAGETALITY. He knows the color scheme. So, I select this color here, and that's where I actually did my first layer here, set to normal, and I just kind of came in and did some airbrushing. I did a little bit of cuts here. You can see where I lassoed off some areas, but really just trying to set a mid value, a mid tone. And I did it everywhere. I did it on the foot, the legs, the hand, and his face, right? So the next step is the second light value, which would be this here. This layer, I have it set to screen. It is the exact same color selection as the previous layer. I didn't find a different color to use. I didn't do any of that. It's literally the same color that I had used previous. As you can see here, this is where I'm talking about. So right here, it looks pretty clean. Everything is kind of lining up because it's all contained by the form of the leg, by the form of the hand. It is what I'm talking about. You can see where I made my selections in here and kind of went outside, stepped outside the box, right? Penalty zone, went outside the box, insert the the goalie's safe zone. So and you can see right here too, this is where the base color shadows really kind of shine, like right here. Like there's areas of shadow that now exist where I normally would have had to come in and actually create an area to bring these shadows in on that figure, including this half of the face. The lighting that I'm using is I'm creating as if the sword created a reflective shine as it swoops through, kind of directed this way at Ragetality, right? Um, it's all light manipulation. As artists, we just sort of learn um, light source, light and shadow values, things like that. If you're working in color, and you just kind of learn to play with it, really. Let's see here, and then this final one. Okay, so this one here, this is a dodge layer, and I actually used this color here. You see that I'm circling. It is a, I'd almost call it, I'm not really sure. It's like a reddish. It's like the reddish side of peach, I guess. I tend to use, if I'm doing a screen or a dodge for hotspots, and you'll see right here when I turn it on. There it is right there. Um, if I'm working over a cool color, I tend to use a warm color in a screen or a dodge. If I'm working over a warm color, I tend to flip the switch on that, and I'll actually use a desaturated blue. It's usually blue. Green doesn't work really well with red, but um, yeah, you can set it to overlay, hard light, screen, dodge, and just play with it. And when you find something that works, try to remember what works. So you can see here obviously um, how messy I am around this entire piece. Like there's stuff right here, stuff right here. It's outside. I'm not worried about it. I'm only coloring in layers above these flats what I want to be represented um, with the final renders on the purple selections. I think down here, I don't think I used it too much. Let me turn this off and on to see. Yeah, you can see I kind of hit a little bit of a hot spot right here, a little bit on these folds that kind of run through. Um, they're always fun to illustrate. I like folds and veins are my two things I like to illustrate. It's fun drawing those drop shadows and all that. So yeah, and you can see, and I kind of just ran it up to the shadow that I indicated right here in this cross hatch and hatching fade that I created, running this direction. So I kind of manually stopped it here. You could run it up through here, but I mean, you have shadow coming in here and all that. And then also, I do like to play, the next thing I'm going to show you, I do like to play a little bit with background elements. So that's where that's at right now. Okay. So just again, real quick, I got a duplicate multiply layer set up to a percentage that I feel comfortable with for the darkest part of that purple. I then bring in the mid-tone values right there. Exact same color lavender purple right here. Set to screen on the second stage. Third stage, dodge. Dodge. Screen sometimes works better. You kind of have to toggle around too with CMYK, like Control Y on a PC. I don't use a Mac. I don't know the shortcut there. But anyways, it's where you can actually look at your file and preview it in a true CMYK mode. Um, yeah, so there's all that there. Let's see, this last one here, I'm going to show you in normal. Okay, so I'm going to flip this here, and you see this color right here. So this color is actually, here, before I do that, actually, let me see. Let me show you something. Background. Okay, so the background, I created a folder here. There's several layers within it. The background is taking place behind all of this information. It's taking place above the original flats, but behind. It is sandwiched behind the figure flats and the background flats. And what I did was, this original cover has a white background, but I don't like the white used as a color in comic books. I don't like white as a background. I don't like, I think you can indicate a lighter value uh, without just using white. or just using a, a gradient or a flat lighter color. It feels boring to me. So I created a sort of a painting, and this painting is this file here is 11.25 by 17.25 inches at 300 dpi. It's my original scan. I added a 1/4 inch border on all four sides. This is what I came up with here, and this is literally from scratch. I think I paint bucketed red, and then I just started working with hard light, soft light layers. I think by the end of it, I was like 20, 30 layers deep. A lot of texture, some sponge brushes. There's lots of brushes you can use in Photoshop. I do purchase a lot of brushes from Gumroad by other artists that do a lot of brushes. Like this kind of texture here is really cool. I was showing this off to someone and they thought maybe it was a watercolor scan. It is not. This is literally 100% digital. See, splatter brushes, multiple layer brushes. So like some of the stuff is like I used a yellow or a beige, and then I came in on top of it and tried to regurgitate some of the splatter effect stuff that I was doing above it with the same brush size, but as a screen or a dodge. So this right here is just me playing around with blending and this and that. So I did a select all copy, and I went into here, and on the background, I went ahead and pasted it in there. Let me go take these guys off right here so you can see. So yeah, I pasted it in here. I set it to luminosity. So here, I'll show you on the regular files right here. Here's the normal file that you saw me paint. A little bit too much color for my taste. I really just wanted some texture, not really grayscale, but I wanted texture. And being that the background on the original flats is blue, I was just playing with it, and I set it to luminosity. This is kind of what you get here. You get a little bit of this smoky appeal. Obviously, it looks washed out and a little bit on not necessarily white. I don't think there's any area of this background that registers void of color. So that's where it's at. And then I did a duplicate layer as a color burn layer, very low percentage, 22%, to give it a little more definition, mainly like up here in this area and then down here in this area. That just felt negative space, felt it needed some TLC to my eyeballs. Let's see what I do here. Oh, color. Okay, so I brought in a purple. I actually color picked somewhere off of here, and I airbrushed in the corners of here, and then also down here slightly. I set it to color. It's at 76%. And these percentages aren't based on anything other than me trusting my eyeball. Lowering or raising the percentage of the layers application to what lies behind it. Let's see this next one. It looks like I set it to multiply. For some weird reason, I decided to use this color over here, which is probably just because it was available and I was messing with it. So it looks like I airbrushed it up here and then a little bit down here. I think my original intention was to bring in some color hue, like maybe play with it and see if it changes a little bit of the environment. Like, even though it is majority is a cool image, like, it's going to be very much blue. A little bit of the gold is the warm color in this, but really blue, lavender, purple are the main, and gray, silver. It's a very, very cool image overall. Even this right here is even going to have a bluish tint to it, I believe, when I'm done. So I was playing with it. I think I was just trying to bring in a little bit of a warm element, so it doesn't feel depressing, like the entire piece is. But it didn't really look exactly like I thought, and I was messing around with layer properties. I figured out multiply. I lowered 47%, I figured out that it kind of looks kind of cool, so I just left it. You know, it is what it is. It's a comic book, so. So yeah, so let's see here. So right now, where I'm at, sorry about my, frog in my throat. So this is where I'm at here. Um, what I did here was I'm going to flip this over to this blue. This blue here is actually a color pick from somewhere in this region right here. Okay. And the reason I selected a color from back here is because, like part of color theory, one of the few things I know is that uh, even if it's not a reflective surface, there is still a reflective lighting applied to almost every object, three-dimensionally. And so, with this side of his face being against this side here, being against or being facing the light coming from this energy coming up and down over here, it's all coming this direction towards him. That leaves all this in shadow. And it's just sort of fun to see, maybe if this was red or green or purple, whatever, and you kind of play that color into maybe the edge a little bit in these areas over here, including over here, and it would only affect this part of the body, right? And then like the arm obviously protrudes, so maybe the arm here and stuff like that. And then after that, if you have a very reflective surface, like very obviously, he's got metal arms, metal legs right here, metal calves, and I also penciled it in. You can see the reflective areas here. That's where the heavy rim lighting is going to be, where basically it's even going to probably end up with a glow on those areas. Um, Not this side so much. This side here, I'll probably indicate the blue that I select from here over here into the arm. But definitely this side here is going to have the glow and the pop that reflects the color use and the energy on this side. Let me show you I made a quick selection here before starting this video to kind of show my idea of what I sort of tend to do. So here's the selection here. I'm going to show you. So I have it set to normal. Okay, so this is a normal setting. That's way too extreme, right? Some colors can get away with that. I'm not that colorist. And just from experience, I know that with this specific tint of purple, this purple, a light blue color tends to work best as a soft light or an overlay. And there it is right there. Okay, so I set it to overlay. There's that right there. I don't like the hard cuts that I'm seeing here, so I'm actually going to select this area here. Let me turn that off. And then I'll make a new layer. I'll set it to overlay just like the last. Control H hides your selection. And I really just airbrush these in. This is one of my favorite airbrushes here. Yeah, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it until it looks the way I want it. So you can see I'm not really letting the entire thing be controlled by the selection. I'm kind of going to do the same way here. The light moved in this way. I'm going to move it in this way on him on this end as well. So you can see here a little bit more of a gradient versus just a complete paint bucket, effect. So there we go. Yep. And I think that looks pretty tight, to be honest. So here's what I did there. This was the original selection, which was just blah paint bucket, right? So here's that one there. Let's see. I'll go ahead and do the under. I'm going to underlight it a little bit on the leg here. And again, I work messy. I work outside the lines, and all of this is going to be corrected when I feel comfortable that it's complete. Let's see. And this is only going to affect the purple here. All right, so there's that. I'm going to go and hit his hand a little bit. And this stuff is fun and everything, but I recommend if you're coloring, don't use cool rim light effects as a crutch. Um, uh, your color selections on your base colors should be enough to be able to sell the product, to sell the book. You shouldn't rely on these because this is more of a post edit thing here. I'm really just illustrating this for, you know, for this video. Um, Generally, this is the very last thing I would do, to be honest. Something like this, rim lighting is something I never ever attack until the end. But again, I just was like, I kind of want to do a video about this, and the purple was pretty much rendered. So you can see I'm bringing it in here, here, the hand on the edge, and it's subtle. It's not too much. There's a shadow coming off this anklet, this cufflink on his ankle. So a little bit there where the foot is bulbous here and here. So I'm hitting it more in those two spots. Let's see here. The side here, I'll probably hit this muscle because this muscle does protrude a bit. So and I was talking about on a stream last night. I was on the How to Draw Comic stream with the Bartons, and I don't think I went into it, but I had mentioned that I'm really liking working with geometric shapes for some reason, like very angular shapes. I just feel like it really complements kind of my style of art. So there's that, and then you can see. I mean, very obviously, see. I mean, that's a pretty cool effect right there, and it's overlay literally selected from a blue color found within this area right here. Um, and I'll probably actually copy the same idea with the overlay blue on any other cool color. I will not replicate that on this right here. His headpiece and also this part of his sword. I'm going to actually change the color of this. It's supposed to be like brown leather. Um, you know, I'm not going to use that blue on a warm color. I'm going to use it only on the cool colors as an overlay as reflective lighting. I'll probably use a yellow or another lighter color to kind of indicate that there is a reflective quality to it. I don't want to mix the blue because when you bring blue on top of this, sometimes it can turn into like a pea soup color, things like that, and that's no good. That's no fun. Nobody wants that. All right, so I'm working really slowly here. I'm going to get rid of this layer here. So that's set to overlay. Let's see. I think it looks like I hit everything. Yeah, so that's it for that on that particular selection there. I got most of my colors up here. You can see these are colors that I've used on this piece so far. This dark one right here is actually me paint bucketing in for his armor, which I think the original flats Carl made a similar color to this or this. It was like not the blue, so I just quick fix, picked it here, paint bucketed it into the kneecaps. Um, let's see, what else can I show you here? Yeah, I haven't really become married to the idea of the color I want used for this effect right here. So therefore, I'm not going to commit to the rim lighting on this side, which is going to be a much harsher rim light than this side that I just did with that lavender color. I'm probably going to bring it in here too. I don't think I'm going to use that rim light color for in here, so I'll just sort of indicate it here a little bit and call it a day. Just a little bit. There you go. Even though the leg faces away, I did indicate a rim light on this lower leg portion, and sometimes you just gotta fake it, right? So anyhow, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. let me see here. I think. Oh, you know what? Let me show you this too. Okay, so this is the duplicate layer here, the shadow, right? The darkest area. I'm going to select the outer portion of it. Boom, outer portion all selected. I'm also going to select uh, this area right here. These little gray things I have going on. Hold on a second here. Yeah, these little gray things I have going on. Um, because I have an idea behind what I'm going to do with those as well. I like the rendering on them, but the application is not correct because they're supposed to have a bluish tint like this. So there is a process I'm going to go through to actually change the coloring of this area on both. And it's probably just going to be selecting a lighter blue color, setting it to overlay hue or color, and over top of just this area here to retain the actual detail that I did on this particular piece of the foot. So let's see. Okay, so that's selected. Look up here to select inverse. Select inverse right there. And then I'm literally just gonna go. I'm gonna climb. I'm gonna climb the ladder. So this is the flat. I don't need to delete anything there. Here's the first. Here, let me zoom in so you can actually see some of this happen. And Control H gets rid of those little ants. So right now I'm on the first layer of detail. I'm going to hit delete because I'm selected on inverse. You can see a little bit that just erased from here. Again, there it was there. I deleted it. Boom, it disappeared. Next layer is my first screen layer. I'm going to hit delete. There it goes. You can see right here where if you look at that area right there, when I deleted it, boom. Next layer is, I believe, my dodge. Yeah, my dodge. You can see where it's running off of over top of the stuff, over the yellow and gold. It's over the gray of the remainder of his costume. Hit delete. Boom, there it goes. All right, so and that's it for that. Let's see here, and then also, of course, the overlay. I'm not sure I stayed within the lines or within the selection here, so I'm gonna just hit delete anyways. Didn't see anything change, but just in case. And I'll deselect that. Now when I zoom out, you can see that those renders are fully applied to just the purple area, right? Something you could do is, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm in the early stage, but I have it all. I have all the purple in a group. I like to create groups and create layers within those groups for each specific item in case I need to edit those things or desaturate them or whatever it is. Edits always come up, so I try to retain it. If I'm comfortable with this, I would actually probably turn off the background, turn off the base, turn off the line art, and here you can see the actual work done on it, right? So this is the actual work done on this piece, which would be the hard light, the multiply, the regular layer, and all that. And then you could just choose, if you're on this flat layer, which is the one underneath of it, my edited flats, you could actually just choose, you could just right click it and say merge visible. And there you are. No more CPU being eaten up by that group that you see right here, the group. If you merge it, it merges all those layers together. Now, the problem though with this is, let's turn this line art back on. The problem with this is now these areas are no longer really selectable. So if there was any edits you needed to do, I'll turn the background back on so you can see that. You would probably select this background layer, the original layer that you decided to duplicate that you're going to work on, which is, this is the workable layers. And then you would highlight it, and then you would select, oh, purple, right? Or, I mean, it actually would include this too. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you would do right there with that. If you needed to edit it. Because on this one here, if you were to try to select, you're like, oh, purple. That's what happens. There's not really a setting up here you can do to change that. See, even with this, I mean, this is a very You can set it to 27 to 30, and it'll select a lot of it. Um, but it really is not that great. And then what happens too, because this setting right here will start recognizing edges of other colors and things that aren't necessarily exactly what you're trying to. So I just suggest leaving your tolerance on 0 on selections. Make sure your flats have no feathering to them at all. I'm going to go and save this piece. Um, but yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll put this video up. It's going to show up on Patreon before anywhere else. And I might actually work up another rendering video later. Got to get my daughter ready for dance here. So that sorry about the short video. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting, possibly informative. So thanks.